A very warm welcome to Marketing Principles and Practices, MKT 1600 for this semester. What we're going to do in this session, we'll spend about half an hour. We're going to, I'll give you a unit overview. I'll give you a brief introduction to myself and my background. Then we'll give a unit overview. We'll go through and look at some of the key things that are in the unit plan, and we'll have a bit of an overview of where your marks come from and the assessments that are required for this unit. Now, what about myself, Peter Balserini? Why should you listen to me? Well, I've got a Bachelor of Business from Charles Sturt University, but that's not why you should listen to me. I have an MBA with a marketing specialisation from ECU, but that's not really why you should listen to me either. I'm currently studying for my PhD integrated here at ECU, focusing on marketing and franchising, but even that's not why you should really listen to me. I am, however, probably the only lecturer that you're going to have in your academic career that has one of these. It's a Bachelor of Hamburgerology from McDonald's Hamburger University in Chicago. And as you can see there, Hamburger University is a real place, and I do have a Bachelor of Hamburgerology from HU. And that leads me into my career background and my background in marketing and building businesses. So my career background, way back before the internet, I was the National Marketing Director for Vigour Health and Fitness Centres. I then was Group Marketing Manager for the LP group of companies. I worked in sales and marketing for Capita Financial Group that later became MLC. From 1993 to 2010, I was a small medium business owner. I owned two separate McDonald's franchises at different times over that 17-year period. So I've owned businesses that have had over $50 million in total retail sales. This is the second McDonald's that I owned one McDonald's for 12 years and sold it and bought another one. This is how that second McDonald's, that's how it looked in 2005. Needed a little bit of a birthday. And this is how it looked in 2010, 5 years later. And as you can see, it looked quite different. It had quite a bit of money invested in it, but the sales were 50% higher. And as you can imagine, of course, the business when we sold it was worth a heck of a lot more than it was when we acquired it. Now, part of marketing is about building businesses. And a big part of building businesses is building the sales revenue. And later on in this seminar, we'll just look at how building sales revenue and building profits relates to building the total value of the business. And I have personal experience that I'll share with you about that. Now, what about my marketing experience specifically with McDonald's? How does that work? Well, McDonald's is a franchise business. So what that means is you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself. People own about 80% of the McDonald's outlets in Australia are owned by individual business people. And how it works is all McDonald's stores contribute 4% of their sales to a marketing fund. And that marketing fund, how the money is spent, is then decided by various cooperative committees. Now, I actually served on McDonald's state and national marketing committees. In WA, McDonald's, when I left, was spending around $9 million in marketing per annum, and that money was spent by a committee. I was on the executive of that committee for 10 years. And I was the West Australian president of that McDonald's marketing committee for 4 years, and I served 4 years on McDonald's National Marketing Council. In the unit plan and also on Blackboard, you'll find your key unit contacts. As you've gathered, my name is Peter Balserini. I am the lecturer and tutor for all students that are doing MKT 1600 this semester, Marketing Principles and Practices. My contact details are shown there. If you need to, you can contact me by email or you can make an appointment. The unit coordinator and the author of the ebook is Dr. Stephen Fanning. His contact details are shown there. Generally, in the first instance, you should direct all of your unit queries to me. And then there is the overall marketing course coordinator, that's Dr. Greg Wilson, and his contact details are shown there as well. Now, when you're emailing any of us, please include your unit name, your student number, and which unit it is that you're emailing about, because we often look after lots of units and lots of students, and your location and delivery. Like, is it Joondalup, you're an on-campus student, or you could be an off-campus student. Again, all of this material is in the unit plan, but let's look at the unit activities that help. As I mentioned, it's a combined site that we have for both on-campus and off-campus students. The on-campus students, there's a seminar each Friday from 8:30 to 11:30 a.m. and that is in JO at Joondalup 21.202. So on-campus students are expected to attend to stay up to date. That's for that seminar. Off-campus students, because what we're endeavoured to do is provide the same material for on-campus students and off-campus students. For off-campus, primarily for off-campus students, we have 4 optional online tutorials which we conduct via Blackboard Collaborate. Now these there's a unit introduction, which is on the Wednesday the 31st of July, and then we have workshops for assessments 1, 2 and 3. The assessment 1 workshop is on Wednesday the 7th of August, assessment 2 workshop Wednesday the 11th of September, and the assessment 3 workshop on Wednesday the 9th of October. These are at 6:45. They're optional, people don't have to attend. We have other ways of getting the material to you, but it just enables online students to ask questions and that sort of thing. Off-campus students can come to that as well if they like, but again, it's an online tutorial conducted via Blackboard Collaborate, and there's 4 of those on Wednesdays, basically covering the unit introduction and overview, assessments 1, 2 and 3 workshops. So that's for off-campus students. On-campus students, you need to attend these seminars on a Friday. We also have learning advisors that can help. There's Dr. Julia Wexley. She's connected with us, and her contact details are shown there, and other assistance, you go to the Student Hub. As I said, all this material is in the unit plan. Now, I know that many of you, you're not in this is a third year unit, so you're certainly not in your first semester at university. But what I tend to do in the first lecture is remind people to get back in. You probably weren't studying last week. You've had a period of time off. I remind people of the things that they need to do to be successful at university. Now, you folks will know many of these, but they may just prick your conscience with some of them. Now, they actually say, the wives' tale, shall we say, was that it takes 21 days to create a new habit. Well, actually, a couple of years ago, some universities in the UK, they did some research, and in general, of course, it depends what sort of habit, but in general, it takes about 60 days to create a new habit. If we define a habit as actually something you would have to stop yourself doing, where it becomes ingrained, where you can do it without thinking. So given that most of you weren't actually studying last week, and now we're in the first week of semester, you need to get into that habit of studying as quickly as you can. I always recommend to people to make use of the academic skills advisors. They have workshops, they're free. When I first went to university years and years ago, I think I've made the point, I think someone could have died at the back of the lecture, and I'm not sure anyone would have noticed, or the lecturer would have even stopped. But the way universities are now, there's lots more people to care and to assist. So the academic skills advisors, you can go along to them. It doesn't cost any money. They won't do your assignments for you, but they can help direct you in the right direction to see what's required and how to structure things and how to unpack assessments. So I would take advantage of all of those things if I were you. The second thing is, of course, to do a semester planner. Now, I used to think that, lecturers all got together and conspired they sat in a room and said, let's make it really hard and make everything due in the same week for all of our units. Now, they don't actually do that, but many of you will be doing different units. If you're doing more than one unit, what you'll need to do is you need to get your unit plan for every unit that you're doing, and you'll need to sit down and plan out when things are due. And that way you can know when you've got bottlenecks and when you need to start things a bit earlier or a bit later, and work your own plan. The hardest person we need to manage in general in life is ourselves, so getting yourself organised is pretty important for that. Now, next week I will have a semester planner up in Module 2 that'll have marked in when the things are due in this unit, and it'll have space for you to plan out your other units, for up to 3 other units there. So you need to get your unit plans from the other units and plan out when everything's due for you. You also need to do a weekly planner. Now, in general, I know many of you have been at uni for a little while, but I think this is very true. You need to put in about 2 more hours than each face-to-face hour that you have. So if there's a 3-hour seminar each week, you need to, on average, for that unit, you need to do another 6 hours on top of that to be successful in that unit. Now, family and friends and grandma, they'll probably never understand that. They'll say to you, well, how many hours are you at uni a week? And you might say 12, and they'll say, great, and they'll want to fill up all the rest of that time. But you need to plan out and fence off that the other 2 hours a week for each hour face-to-face. You'll never get other people to understand it. I used to be an employer, and I used to say, to people that work for me, how many hours are at uni, and I want to roster them for all the other, for all this other time. So you'll need to protect that other time, and you should sit down and try to work out and schedule when that's when you're going to do that time each week, and that way you can make sure it gets done rather than other things getting in the way. Set a success goal for the semester. Try to up the ante. If you've previously been getting credits, then why not aim for a distinction? If you've previously been getting passes, aim for a credit. If you've previously been getting distinctions, aim for a higher distinction. Very true in life. If you set a goal, it often gives you a good advantage, and it gives you the impetus to get there. Okay, attend. Now, it nearly always guarantees success. You know, that's what you're paying for. So now, some of you, these same materials are available for people online. Those of you who are attending face-to-face, you know when to feel guilty, right? If you don't come, in general, people who attend get better grades. They understand the material better. They have a fuller understanding. Again, online, what I suggest you do is work out on your weekly planner exactly when you're going to run through the materials each week that are posted, and watch the videos and various things for each module. That way you have a particular time and you're attending, and that way it's scheduled in, and you'll know when to feel guilty if you don't do that. Be present and participate, be open. Someone said to me, ideas are like babies. I don't think in any culture in the world is it appropriate to sort of go to people and say your baby looks ugly. Well, it's a bit like that with ideas. You don't have to agree with every idea that you hear about, but you just need to be open to them. Connect, even online. You can make connections with other people through networking, and some of the things you learn there, they help you throughout the rest of your time at uni and even after uni. Very often it may well be from a colleague that you can find out about a work opportunity. Communicate with lecturers in general. Myself and other lecturers, we want to be supportive, but we can't assist in an area if we're not aware of it. So we do listen, but we do need to be communicated with for it to all work out. Above all, have fun. We will endeavour to come up with some interesting scenarios this semester when we're looking at marketing strategy. It's a capstone unit. It's towards the end of what you're looking at in your marketing studies. So we'll try to make it real world, and we'll try to make it enjoyable. Now, this is the current format for our Blackboard site for this unit. As you can see, it's got lots of information that's shown on the left there. You'll also notice that this says on campus, off campus. So this is a combined Blackboard site for both on campus and off campus students. All the rich materials are provided there, so you can all access the same materials and go through the same sorts of exercises that we do to provide the unit information to you. This is a screenshot of the Marketing Principles and Practices Blackboard site. And what we're going to do is work our way through the menu that's shown on the left there. And so you can sort of know, you'll get a bit of an idea from having watched this video, what sort of things are available under those headings on the left. We do encourage you though to then go into Blackboard and surf around to have a look and make sure that you're familiar with all the materials and all the support materials that are there. Now, one of the key things with this unit is you don't need to buy a textbook. The required text for this unit is an ebook known as the Marketing Concept, and it's been provided to you free of charge by the unit coordinator and the author, Dr. Stephen Fanning. Now, to secure your copy of this book, you simply go to Blackboard, you go to click on Learning Modules, and then at the top of Learning Modules, it says download the free textbook here, and you follow the instructions there to download the ebook and save it as a PDF to your desktop so you can access it whenever you need. As I mentioned, this comes at no charge, compliments of Dr. Fanning. So let's run through briefly what's in each of these headings that's on Blackboard. Announcements will be found here. Generally what happens, any announcement will have been emailed to you as well, so it'll be in your ECU email, which you need to check at least twice a week. The unit plan, that's the complete edition of the unit plan. Now what we encourage you to do, you're quite welcome to ask us questions and send us emails, but lots of information is provided in the unit plan. So we suggest that you look at this information that's been available first when you have a query. The semester schedule is shown there. That's a summary. We're going to unpack and have a look at the semester schedule in some detail, but it shows you what's happening basically, what's happening each week, what the seminars and lectures cover, the topics that are covered, what reading you need to do, and it's got a bit of a breakdown of when assessments are due in there as well. Learning modules. Well, here you'll locate the modules we cover each week. That's the learning content. It'll have some slides, some videos, and some activities. Discussion board, there you can put questions and things and communicate with others. Library links, you probably won't need that a lot for this unit, so there's not a lot of library links. The main thing that you need to get and have is, as we mentioned in the previous slide, under learning modules you will have got the ebook. So the Marketing Concept ebook, that's the main book that you need for this unit. Assessments. Under the assessments heading, there is a summary overall that applies to all of the assessments, and then we've got detailed briefings that are there for each of the particular assessments. There are 3 assessments in this unit, assessment 1, 2 and 3, and under those headings it covers what's required in the completion of those and also the submission links. My grades is where you can see your results, and down the bottom there you'll see finding help. It's got a number of things. The staff contacts, which I ran through in the previous slides, academic skills site, which I'll run through shortly, and then there's a student support site for other student issues other than the academic issues, and a Blackboard site, help site as well. So the key thing is the teaching and learning approach here. What we're trying to do, what we want to do, is to basically each session each week, the units delivered to the on-campus students via our 3-hour seminar, or to off-campus students via the ebook, the Marketing Concept, and the materials that are provided on Blackboard. The key thing you need to do is make sure you've got that the required text, which is the ebook. And then we'll show you shortly, there's prescribed reading that you need to do, various chapters you need to read and understand every week. So the first thing you do, make sure you download that ebook and you've got a copy of it there. Now, as we said, there's additional materials under learning modules on Blackboard that have got videos and activities and various things that are provided each week. So this is the semester study schedule. This is shown separately it's in the unit plan, also it's got its own heading there. So we're just going to work our way through this so you understand what's involved and what sort of information it gives. So on the left here, you can see these are the week commencing dates. So that's the Monday of each week. There are 13 weeks in the semester. Partway through there, you'll see that 1 week is the mid-semester break. So on the left, that's showing the Monday of the week commencing and the week number. And as I said, overall there are 13 teaching weeks in the semester. Here, next to that, this is showing the prescribed reading from the ebook, The Marketing Concept, that you need to do to be up to date each week. Now, the key challenge here is to make sure you focus on the ebook. The ebook has been put together. Dr. Fanning updates it regularly every semester, so it's the most contemporary textbook you'll get. And this shows the chapter numbers that you need, and you can see that on the index at the front, that you need to make sure you've read and understood each week. And that's the critical thing to do. Here, this shows the content that's covered each week, and these match up generally with the chapters that are in the ebook. And also at times we have briefing sessions, workshops, that sort of thing that cover the upcoming assessments. They all relate back to the sort of thing that we're looking at in the classes and in the ebook. So they're the topics that are covered each week. So on the left in the unit plan, you've got the week number and the Monday of the week commencing date. Then it shows the section you need to be doing and reading in the ebook. And then it's the topics that are covered. So that when you're in learning modules, you can see that week which topics were covered, and you can go to those topics within the learning modules. So as you can see there, we've got our mid-semester break is shown there, and that's the week where there are no classes. So that week you don't have to come to class, and essentially there you'll still be doing work for this unit and for other units, but there's no week number associated with that, and it's a week where there are no classes. So let's now look at the assessments and where your marks come from. Assessment 1 is a project. It is a blog post. It's worth 20 marks. Assessment 2 is a case study. It's the mid-semester case study and is worth 40 marks. Assessment 3 is the end semester case study, and it's also worth 40 marks, and all of those together add up to your 100 marks. Now, we're going to go through fairly quickly. We do this in great detail later on in workshops for each of those assessments. But we're going to give you a bit of an idea of what's required in those assessments, and we'll look at when they're due, etc. as well. So assessment 1, as I mentioned, it's a blog post. It's due in week 3 on Sunday the 18th of August by 11:59 p.m. Now, in today's connected and concise world, blogging is considered a valuable business marketing skill. So the learning objective of this assessment is to ensure that students understand the marketing concept and can explain the concept of customer needs, including their importance to marketers. Now, of course, we look at those things in the first couple of weeks. The business objective is for students to establish a LinkedIn profile and build business connections. With a LinkedIn profile, we ask students to establish a LinkedIn profile during week 2. The LinkedIn profile is optional. You don't actually submit by posting on LinkedIn. We suggest you do that later, but we're encouraging you to establish a LinkedIn profile. So what's the scenario? You've been asked to write a short LinkedIn article, a 750-word blog post with images that explains the marketing concept from the ebook, specifically that organisations that best meet their customers' needs are best placed to meet their own needs. In doing this, it is expected that students will also address the concept of needs and why needs are critical in marketing. Students should provide an example or examples to provide context to their content. Examples can be both positive and negative. For example, a cautionary tale of an organisation that failed to meet their customers' needs. Students should endeavour to capture and maintain a reader's attention through an interesting and well-written blog post. Images are encouraged. Again, continuing on, students should demonstrate that they've studied and understood the unit material up to the end of 1.1, the marketing definition chapter of the marketing concept ebook. While blogs are less formal than academic essays or reports, quality is still essential. So you look at the detailed assessment instructions on Blackboard to understand the meaning of assessment quality. Although formal referencing is not required, identifying sources increases the article's credibility. For example, according to the Marketing Concept ebook. So people are putting in there where they did get some of their content because that adds to the credibility of a blog post. Relating your blog post to the unit learning is critical in relation to how marks will be awarded. This means that blog posts that concisely deal with the topic and are consistent with the learning outcomes of the unit will be regarded better than work that appears to be just random. So the blogs are submitted by uploading your Word document, that's the required format, via the Blackboard assessments area. You go to assessment 1, no ECU cover sheet is required. Students may then upload them to LinkedIn. This step's entirely optional, and we'll give details of that closer to the event. As part of the learning process, it's expected that students visit LinkedIn and like other students' articles, students may comment. However, comments must be positive in nature and not an exercise in self-promotion. So that's assessment 1. And as you can see, in week 2 there, we have an assessment 1 in class. We will be covering an assessment 1 workshop, and then for online students there is assessment 1 online tutorial that's shown there in week 2 on the 4th of March at 6:45. There's also a video briefing that's up there for those that can't make the online workshop. Now let's look at the requirements for assessment 2. It's the mid-semester case study. It's worth 40 marks. It's due at the end of the mid-semester break, so Sunday the 6th of October by 11:59 p.m. Now, what's the learning objective here? Well, it's to ensure students study and understand a marketing philosophy, the buyer decision process, and the total product concept. Now, of course, they're things that we cover in the unit. The task, an assessment scenario related to technology in the sales process, has been uploaded to Blackboard under the Assessment 3 tab. Students are asked to study the Assessment 3 scenario, that's the case study, and complete a series of questions that consolidate the learning outcomes of the unit up to the end of 2.2.3, the 6 product components place chapter of the Marketing Concept, the ebook. There are 4 questions, and we'll look at those shortly. Each question will be worth equal marks, so they're worth 10 marks each. That's how we get to the 40 marks. Each question has a 1-page limit, that's 650 to 750 words. The case study, well, it's a case study that we're looking at, and it's linked to an activity that's shown on the Marketing Concept website. So access and read the activity Technology in the Sales Process, which there's a link provided to this on Blackboard, which is on the Marketing Concept website, before you address the questions or the tasks, which we'll go through in a moment. In formulating your answers, you'll need to refer to appropriate sections of the ebook. So we need to make sure that you've done your reading and study. Now, what are the tasks? Task 1, this is where we're continuing on the mid-semester case study. Task 1 is to contrast the differences between a car dealership that operates using the selling concept versus one that uses the marketing concept. Long term, which is more likely to achieve the 3 financial objectives of marketing and why? That's task 1, and so you're required to write 650 to 750 words on that. Task 2, pretend you're about to buy a new car or motor vehicle. Using this as an example, demonstrate your knowledge of the first time zone of the buyer decision process and the steps a typical consumer takes when selecting a new car or vehicle. So that's task 2, and again you write 650 to 750 words on that. Task 3, Hyundai is one of the largest selling vehicle manufacturers in the world. Visit the Hyundai Australia website, and you can there's a website provided there for you, and then surf your way around that website, and then use Hyundai Australia as an example when explaining any 4 of the product considerations that are outlined in the ebook. So again, 650 to 750 words on that. And the final task, using any local car dealership you select, rank the product components. The product components are goods, services, ideas, experiences, people and places, in your order from most important. In doing so, you need to explain each component and justify your decision. Now, please note, you will need to visit that Hyundai Australia website to get an understanding of the organisation. But as this assessment is directed towards the learning outcomes of the unit and the material in the ebook, internet searches for other marketing theories won't be productive. They'll be somewhat pointless. Just continuing on with assessment 2, the mid-semester case study, a formatted Word document is supplied on Blackboard. Students are required to download the document, they complete the document, save it, and then upload it via Blackboard for marking. So students fill in their name and student number on page 1 and then follow the instructions. Students need to type their answers to each of those 4 questions. Each question, as I mentioned before, has got a 1-page, 650 to 750 word limit. Critical. Upon completion, students need to save their completed document with their answers. Please save your document as A2 and then your student number. This will avoid any 2 assessments having the same document name. No ECU cover sheet is required. This document is then uploaded using the submission link under Assessments 2 on Blackboard to submit. Hint, please ensure that you employ the language and concepts of marketing and that you address the learning objectives when completing the assessment task. An infrequent mistake, but worth highlighting, is to fall in love with the example and ignore the unit learning. Keep in mind, marks will be awarded on how well you demonstrate that you've addressed the learning outcomes of the unit. Now, as with assessment 1, with assessment 2, as you can see there in week 7, during class, we have an assessment 2 workshop that'll be done for the face-to-face students, and then an assessment 2 online workshop is conducted for the online students, and the time and date are shown there. And again, they'll also, for anyone who can't make those sessions, there will be a video under assessment 2 explaining what to do on Blackboard. Okay, so now let's look at assessment 3, where your final 40 marks come from. It's the end semester case study, ESCS. It's due the Friday of week 13, which is Friday the 1st of November by 11:59 p.m. Now, the learning objective here is to ensure that students have met the unit learning outcomes. The business objective is for you to create a PDF document that demonstrates a student's knowledge of marketing and may form a part of a student's portfolio when applying for a position. The task. You haven't learnt this yet, but we learn a concept called the circle of satisfaction. The circle of satisfaction is a marketing mega concept unique to this unit. Students are required to provide a brief overall explanation of this mega concept and then create a case study using either Netflix or Uber, you just select one, as an example to demonstrate their full understanding of each of the steps in the circle of satisfaction. The case study should showcase the student's knowledge of the principles of the marketing concept and the practice of a marketing philosophy. Discussions should explain the selected product or organisation through the various stages of the circle of satisfaction. Images, that's photographs and diagrams, are expected. Now, students may undertake this project individually. If they do it individually, we're expecting around 2,600 to 3,000 words, around 4 pages. Or they could join together in teams of 2, and that'll mean that we'll want more, of course, 3,900 to 4,500 words, where they've gone into more detail of around 6 pages. Please note, As this activity is worth 40 marks, a considerable effort is required, and you'll need to put in quite a bit of work. In the past, people have put in 40 marks. There's been around 40 hours work that they've put in to earn that. Creativity is expected. However, the normal font style is Arial 11 and single space is preferred. 6 points between paragraphs is recommended. Bold, colour and or text boxes may be employed to emphasise key points. Titles and headings will be up to the student's discretion. It doesn't need to be a magazine style or anything like that. The document should include a footer with the title of the article and the page number. We don't require a heading. As this is a marketing unit, quality and creativity are expected. Again, around the 3-week mark before it's due, we have an Assessment 3 workshop in class, and that's shown there in week 10, and that's conducted face-to-face and also as one of our online tutorials. And again, a video will be up under the Assessment 3 heading to explain to those how to get marks and fill the requirements. Okay, so that's it in a nutshell. We've summarised our assessments. Assessment 1 is a blog due Sunday the 18th of August by 11:59 p.m. It's worth 20 marks. Assessment 2, the mid-semester case study, is worth 40 marks and it's due Sunday the 6th of October prior to 11:59 p.m. And Assessment 3, the end semester case study, is due on Friday and the last week of the semester, Friday the 1st of November before 11:59 p.m. and it's worth 40 marks, and that adds up to your total of potentially 100 marks. So just a little bit more detail, if there are other things that you sort of want to understand a little bit better at any point along the way. On the left on Blackboard down the bottom, it's got the academic skills site. And if you click on that, it goes through to the Academic Skills Centre. You can see who they are, what they do, how they're there to support you and assist you. And there's a number of things that you can learn on there. There's a number of sessions they have as videos. And we also have Dr. Julia Wexler, who is a dedicated learning advisor for the School of Business and Law. So for particular queries, you can also contact her to get extra input and extra advice on how to succeed here at university in an academic sense. Okay, well, I wish you well with the unit. More detail will be provided as the unit unfolds. And as I said at the start, I'm excited to be here and to work with you this semester. And I wish you all luck during this semester. And I'm sure we'll have an excellent time working together. Thank you and goodbye.